I think we got to understand that there's no such thing as objective truth, which is implicit in everything Dr. Clark says, that white people use the institutions to accomplish white purpose. The white purpose is to maintain a power position and keep everybody else in a subordinate, powerless kind of position. Now that's the institution's purpose, and that's the way it functions and how it functions. And we got to realize then that everything that the schools teach is designed to fit into that purpose. The schools teach not objective truth, but what the white man wants to project as truth. Now that's from the very kindergarten right straight on through.
Well, for example, what?
Sociology. Sociology is not a science in the sense that it's dealing objectively with the way people live together. It's dealing with the white man's pattern of living together as the norm by which we judge how other people live. If you live like white people live, then you're living the way you are supposed to live. If not, you're either primitive or insane as a people. Psychologically, it's the same thing. Psychology does not deal with any objective kind of discussion or development of how people live or analysis of how people function as individuals, but how does the white man function? If the white man does it this way, then this is the norm by which we judge all other people. If the white man is violent, then actually all people have to be violent to be normal. If you're not violent, obviously there's something wrong with you and you should be in an insane asylum. The whole pattern that's set up as a norm for human behavior by psychologists, the whole library full of it. Psychiatrists, everybody that's dealing with it is dealing with it from a white point of view. So they teach white children, black children and white children, to look through white eyes. From the kindergarten on, the black child is beginning to look at the world and interpret it through white eyes. Everything he is wrong. Everything that exists in his community is wrong. And we ought to declare that white music really is no good, that white psychology is no good. The white man either acts like we do or he's insane. White sociology is no good. The very structure of white society indicates that white people, obviously in social structure, are either insane or they're abnormal. So we have to project then a black psychology, a black sociology, a black music, a black history that takes in the realities and that is essentially sound, as opposed to the mythology that the white man has developed out of his own ignorance, for one thing, out of his non-creativity, because the white man has never created anything. He's stolen things, but never created anything. He cannot actually deal with history, because history is a recital of his total failure and his total absence of making any genuine contribution to the world.
If we define a black psychology, a black sociology, where will we use these?
Where would we use? We'd use them first to unscramble our own mixed up minds. If we could understand that black psychology is the psychology that the black man has to have if he's going to escape from powerlessness in a white man's world. Now, the struggle is a struggle between black people for power and white people to keep power. Now, all we're dealing with is a power struggle. Every institution that the white man has, he uses in this power struggle. There's nothing wrong with that, nothing immoral about it. Any people would do that. When we get on top, we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to use every institution to perpetuate black power. And the white man's going to have to fight up from the bottom again for another, 100 million years trying to get back to a position of power. There's nothing wrong with fighting for power, but the thing that's wrong is for powerless people to accept their powerlessness and to accept the definition by which they are maintained powerless and to accept the institutions which perpetuate their powerlessness. So that's why I think the black church has to become a power base for black people in changing this total institutional conception structure that black people are living in. We've got to use it as a base to spin off all the institutions that black people need that come from a black perspective, a black orientation, and are concerned with black power as opposed to white power. I think what we need to begin to look at is what's real. Now, I don't care whether it's good or bad. I just care whether it works, whether it doesn't work, whether it helps black people or doesn't help black people. White people are individualistic. White people are materialistic. And I think Dr. Clark is absolutely correct in the definition of black civilization, African civilization. Communalistic, whole concept is different. But the white man's individualism and materialism stems from the fact that he comes out of a situation, a place where you could hardly live. The barren land where you could hardly grow, no resources, where they had to fight each other just to keep alive, and where each person had to try to steal all he could to keep somebody else from getting it so he could stay alive. Now that builds individualism and materialism. Now he didn't have much in the way of materialism, but he had the need, the desire, so he built ships, he built guns, everything in order to take something from somebody else. Now you got to realize that the black man came up in a wholly different kind of environment, where there was everything that a person needed. They didn't have to cheat and lie and steal to get enough to eat. Enough to eat was everywhere. Nobody had to take from somebody else. all the resources of the world were right there in the ground. They had everything. They didn't need to build ships and go conquer someplace else. If Africans built a ship, where would they go? Any place they went was worse than where they were. But the white man could build a ship and go any place, because any place he went was better than where he was. Anything that he could take was better than what he already had. So we're dealing with the cultures of two people that stem from the kind of situation in which they live. Black people today are trying to be individualistic and materialistic because we are now in a slave culture. The white man has dominated us so completely, we try to accept his values. What we've got to do is reject his values, go back and accept the old values that come from Africa, our own historic black values, and have a black value system that we put in opposition to the white man's materialism and individualism.